The Australasian Safari is Asia-Pacific's ultimate off-road adventure. The grueling 7-day off-road rally involves competitors in four-wheel drives, motorbikes and quad bikes racing the clock as they test their driving skills across 3,600 kilometres of challenging outback terrain. It's an epic adventure that explores the great expanses of Western Australia. Australasian Safari commences in the coastal city of Perth, the capital of Western Australia, before heading east to Southern Cross, north and further inland to Leonora, south to historic Coolgardie, and then on to Norseman, with the finish in the beautiful south coastal town of Esperance. The pristine, remote expanses of Western Australia, Australia's largest state, provides the perfect backdrop for this world-class event. Western Australia is a staggering 2.5 million square kilometres, a single state the size of Western Europe, and yet it has a population of just 2.1 million people. The beautiful city of Perth is the capital of Western Australia. Competitors will experience diverse, remote and dramatic terrain when they travel 3,600 kilometres from Perth to Esperance. This year will see more than 80 competitors compete in moto, auto and quad bike categories, racing 3,600 kilometres over 7 days. The moto division is headed by defending champion Jacob Smith and the GHR Honda team, riding with AJ Roberts. Ben Grabham will team with Todd Smith, Ivan Urseg and Matthew Fish, all riding KTMs. This year sees a strong auto field headed by V8 supercar star Craig Lowndes, who joins Keys Wheel in the PWR Holden. There's four-time champion Bruce Garland and Harry Suzuki in the Isuzu D-Max, plus defending champion John Doble is back with Jeff Olholm in the Pajero. In the quads, it will be Paul Smith up against Colin Lawson on a Can-Am and 2008 winner John Maragazidis. There was plenty of anticipation on the start line for what promised to be an epic adventure.
Well, something that obviously Safari I've watched and sort of kept a close eye on, and you know, always hoping one day that like Bathurst and everything else, that we could actually have an opportunity to race it. And when Keys, obviously with the Holden Colorado behind us, you know, sort of got in contact, and when obviously the opportunity came up, I grabbed it with both hands, and you know, we'll try and crawl before we walk, but then we go obviously. Hopefully by the end of the Safari we'll be running along quite nicely.
I had a pretty good run last year except for one stage, so I'm just looking forward to the event. Like, there's a lot of new changes out there just to do with the course, and yeah, just looking forward to getting out there and getting started.
The first stage will take the competitors from Southern Cross, northeast, to the Goldfields town of Leonora. Todd Smith leads the field away for the start of the 2010 Australasian Safari. Race favourites Jacob Smith and Ben Grabham soon follow. Everyone's looking to get off to a good, clean start and to avoid trouble early. Australasian Safari is a marathon in the true sense, and it's critical for teams to pace themselves over the full 7 days. Craig Lowndes and Keys Wheel get their campaign underway with plenty of media attention in tow. Lowndes is a legend in the world of V8 supercar racing, and everyone wants to see how he'll make the transition from bitumen to off-road racing. Jeff Olholm and the Mitsubishi Pajero is partnered by last year's winning co-driver John Doble. After a good start, their campaign is temporarily suspended by engine problems less than 50 kilometres into the stage. While luck plays its part, it is critical for teams to nurse their equipment over the full 7 days. It's not hard to make a wrong turn in such a remote, isolated country, and navigation will play a critical role for all the competitors. Quad competitor Paul Smith, riding a Honda TRX 700, goes off course and has to readjust his bearings. Colin Lawson plays follow the leader. The two riders work together, finding their way back to the track. great scenes as teammates Todd Smith and Ben Grabham, part of the all-powerful CPW Safari KTM team, fight for the lead along the dusty, twisting trail. It's a great battle as the two incredibly competitive riders fight for early ascendancy. There is very little between them, and they will race each other all the way to the finish. Disaster for Honda rider AJ Roberts, who's out early in the race. A heavy crash has damaged his bike and he succumbs to a broken wrist. Already Safari and the Western Australian Outback are beginning to wreak havoc. The course will claim many victims by the end of this long, arduous journey to Esperance. The weather is picture perfect as the Western Australian sun begins to heat the desert landscape. Tony Quinn runs wide on a turn and looks to be settling into his work. It's sometimes hard to know just how hard to push, and it's up to each individual to set their own tempo. Tough Swedish rider Annie Seal is back racing for the Husaberg team. She loves the rugged outback conditions and she looks strong early. He may still be finding his feet, but Craig Lowndes looks smooth and very controlled in the Holden, Colorado. One of the real attractions of Safari is the great variety of terrain that competitors experience throughout Western Australia. Much of the Safari is staged on huge tracts of private land, with the landowners giving special permission for the race to pass through. After a long, hard day in the saddle, the competitors are relieved to see the welcome sight of the Leonora bivouac. Just when you think it's time for a well-earned rest, the night shift moves into full swing, and the bivouac roars to life as the teams work deep into the night, trying to mend broken vehicles.
Within probably 2 or 3 kilometres, the clutch was slipping really bad. We pulled over. We bled the system, tried to get it work again, but no way.
Really went a bit pear-shaped for us. We got lost a little bit, and I sort of managed to find all the scrub and everything else. So you know, really we just got to look after the car now, because we're going into now the marathon days, which is only Keys and I can work on the vehicle.
And it was 2-time Safari winner Ben Grabham in front, 4 minutes ahead of Rod Faggoter, with Shane Diener back in third. In the auto division, it was the Denham brothers in the lead with a margin of 4 minutes over Bruce Garland and Harry Suzuki. Although Quinn and Fever finished in third, they were forced to withdraw from the race. In the quads, Paul Smith leads just ahead of Lawson in second, with John Maragazitis off the pace in third. Leg 2 of the Safari starts and finishes in Leonora. It's a tough 423-kilometre competition stage, characterised for its fast open tracks, plus a series of technical challenges as the course takes in some magnificent scenery around rocky outcrops and disused mines.
I think the name of the game is to look after the vehicle, especially on these marathon days.
It's one thing to drive fast, it's another thing to learn to slow down. I think that's what maybe some of the other competitors might struggle with.
Early this morning I didn't want to come, but just I'm ready now.
Leg 2 is the first of 2 marathon days, and that means service and help from the pit crew is prohibited with the exemption of refuelling. The limited servicing rules mean it's crucial to nurse vehicles through the difficult terrain. It's designed to test machines and to reward good preparation and race management. Tonight, all the bikes, cars and quads will be impounded into a parc fermé. Only the competitors will be able to work on them for 30 minutes or suffer a time penalty. A 5-hour penalty is applicable if you require assistance from your service crew. Leg 2 begins, and it's not long before the bikes roar into life, reaching speeds of up to 180 kilometres an hour as they race through the picturesque Leonora Desert. At such high speeds, it's critical for the riders to stay focused, maintain concentration and avoid hazards. Michael Vroom narrowly overshoots a corner, but it shows that the crews always need to be on their guard. Dave Schwartz is a highly experienced rider. He has many Dakar races under his belt and he is a safari regular. The creek bed is dry and Delalo and Massey, in essentially a production class Pajero, make light work of the deep sand traps. Green and Smith relish the rugged Western Australian outback with the vehicle on song as they maintain 4th position. Brett Tomlins hits the hill and makes it look easy. On board the Can-Am quad, and you can see just how physical the bikes are to handle. Lowndes faces his first real test in the sand pit and soon realises it's a lot different to bitumen. Turley and Tillett now look like they are in a spot of trouble. Back at Heartbreak Hill, and now it's the quads who get a chance to strut their stuff. The powerful vehicles relish this steep, jagged track. Lowndes hits the accelerator in an effort to break free from the soft sand. It's one of the great merits of safari. You never really know what's around the corner, and there's no room for complacency. The race is characterised for its contrasting terrain, which keeps everyone guessing. The majestic landscape and postcard scenery of the Western Australian outback belies the toughness of the course. One of the great attractions of safari is the variety of terrain the competitors experience throughout the race. The Denhams look to have resolved their problems and are soon back on track, passing Lowndes and Wheel. As the sun starts to fall, the soft light and long shadows are a sure sign that the end is in sight. The red dust billows out as the big, boisterous Hummer rolls on by. With 2 legs down, it was still Ben Grabham in front, with Todd Smith moving into second. Rod Faggoter now just off the pace in third. In the auto division, it was Warren and Michael Denham still with a lead of just over 5 minutes on the Kennards results board. Craig Lowndes and Keys Wheel now on the march, moving from 5th to 2nd overall. In the quads, it was Paul Smith showing great form and well in front ahead of Maragazidis in 2nd position. At day's end, we caught up with celebrated Swedish rider Annie Seal.
I live outside Stockholm and I work with graphic design and marketing, so this is pretty off-road from what my normal life is. When I was 16, I just got my first motorcycle. My father, he was sort of the motorhead in the family. So he died, and there I was with his tools, leftover tools, and I just started fixing my own bike. And then one autumn, I went to Morocco on an off-road holiday, like the adventure tour here. And the minute I came into the desert, I was hooked. I'm 42 years now, so really I should be doing grown-up things. So far, I've finished 4 Dakars and another 12 off-road races. Never quit a single one. So for me, the first aim is to finish. And now I've also have this result thing. So I want to be top 15. I don't know if I can be there, but in this competition, that would be a very good result for me.
The third leg of the safari heads out of Leonora onto the open plains of the northern Goldfields region, finishing in the historic town of Coolgardie. The competitors are up bright and early. The teams go through a series of last-minute checks. Due to the servicing restrictions, the vehicles have been locked in the overnight Parc Fermé.
A marathon stage means I can't touch the machine, or I can't. The only parts I can use on the machine is parts which I carry with me or on the machine itself.
It's only day 3, so we take it slow and steady and just drive quickly rather than just race. We're only in a race against ourselves at the moment, so as long as we maintain what we're doing, we should stay in front.
Jacob Smith is quickly out of the blocks and wastes no time as he goes straight to work looking to make up for lost time. Des Harrington in his Nissan Patrol is a model of consistency. He runs a highly professional operation, and with the car in good working order, he looms as a real threat to the auto title. It's little wonder that Ben Grabham is known as the Desert King. He's won all variety of major titles and he has so much race experience under his belt. Grabham is chasing his third Safari win. On board with Annie Seal, known internationally as the Rally Princess. Despite her slight 50-kilo frame, Seal is as tough as they come in the world of motorsport. She loves the Western Australian outback, which is a world away from her native Sweden, and she handles the wide-open sections with consummate ease. The teams are now well on their way to Coolgardie as the desert sun looms large. Seal goes down. Thankfully, it's nothing major and she looks okay. True to form, she's quickly back in the saddle, and after a temporary engine stall, she's soon back in the race. Local favourite Ivan Urseg continues to push hard. The wild man of the West, as they call him, finished last year's race in 4th, and he's determined to go at least one better this year. A rider almost comes to grief there as the wheel steps out at close to 140 kilometres an hour. Many of the competitors do ride close to the edge, sometimes just inches from disaster. Urseg, forever the showman, duels with fellow rider Warren Strange. The temperature starts to climb, and so does the heat in the vehicles. The dry dust and warm conditions only add to the challenge, with hydration critical in terms of fighting driver fatigue. Navigator Keith Earl opens a gate, which is something the competitors will become very familiar with over the 7 days. The rules state that you must close all gates throughout the course in order to secure livestock. Ivan Urseg suffers a heavy fall and will require medical assistance. The medical team is quick to respond and a helicopter is soon on hand. Urseg, like all the competitors, carries a digital radio system that has an SOS distress button. Safari is well supported by a strong medical team that features a helicopter and first intervention vehicles known as FIVs, which are located throughout the race. The finish of leg 3 is in the historic mining town of Coolgardie. Coolgardie is famous for being the home of the original Western Australian gold rush back in 1890. Displaying true Western Australian hospitality, the Coolgardie locals are out in force to welcome the competitors home, and their excitement is plain to see. Each year, Safari runs an adventure tour for the moto category, a chance for weekenders to get out and experience the event, ride parts of the course, and even camp with the teams each night. Back at the bivouac, and finally the teams get a chance to work on their machines. The race is beginning to take its toll, with plenty of damage to report, and the all-important support crews will have plenty of work ahead. The Chinese team watches closely as cars are checked and prepared for leg 4 tomorrow. Night falls on the camp in Coolgardie, and it's been another tough but rewarding day at the office. So after 3 legs, it was the ever-consistent Ben Grabham still 5 minutes ahead of Rod Faggoter, with Todd Smith gaining ground in 3rd, just seconds ahead of his brother Jacob Smith in 4th. In the auto division, it was the ever-improving Craig Lowndes and Keys Wheel team in the Holden Colorado now moving into 1st. In the quads, it was Paul Smith in total command as he continues to build his lead over Maragazitas.
It was something that's always been on my radar, but I'd never had an opportunity to, I suppose, either fit in a calendar of a V8 supercar or have a vehicle that I suppose is, something that I could fit into. And when Keys said that, the Colorado's there for you to drive, I was delighted, because the first time we tested it, I rolled it. Second time we tested it was John Hendricks's place in Mildura, and it actually went really well. And then again, I had to learn all about, the suspension travel of what the Colorado can take, what it can't take. the tyre bounce, all that sort of stuff, which again, I'm not used to that side of it. So for me, I've come into this safari as probably the biggest rookie, of knowing what the dirt side of it is. Now, as a driver and that, you know, hopefully I'm up there somewhere, but as knowing the dirt, knowing the terrain, trying to register and read the tracks ahead, having a navigator beside me, all that stuff I'm just not normally used to. So for me, it's been a great experience. And the racing, you do more kilometres now in the safari than I do in a V8 supercar. So you've got to try and think about a V8 supercar weekend really only consists of 2 half-an-hour practice sessions of qualifying, which is only 20 minutes, and normally about 250k races. Here you do up to 400 kilometres in a day, and that's where all that side of it, we're racers, you want to drive something. So anyone out there that wants to do it and get involved in it, like, you give it a go. Like, it's a hell of a fun. The venture of travelling through townships that you would never normally not go through, and seeing the outback of Western Australia, which again you'd never seen. I've seen bits of it and parts of it, but I've never seen, I suppose, this part of it. Now being down here in Esperance, I've never been here. I've always known about it, and probably one of the unkept secrets, really, looking at the coastline and looking at what's around. That's the beauty, I suppose. You come to places you don't expect too much, I suppose, and you don't expect people to know who you are, but they follow motorsport in general. Like, a lot of the people we've seen, a lot of miners, and they're very passionate about obviously what their work life is and what they follow, and either follow football or motor racing, from what I've found. So it's for me, it's been fantastic. I'd love to do another one. I think if Keys is up for it, and if Colorado's available, and Paul's planning fantastically to have a second child around the safari next year, I think I'll be up for it.
Leg 4 is another long stretch starting in Coolgardie, heading south to Norseman. The leg contains 441 kilometres of competitive racing. It'll feature a series of old mining and exploration roads, overgrown fire breaks, and a difficult deep water crossing. The leg's expected to put navigational skills to the ultimate test. Lowndes is off and running, and now with a newfound confidence. After a cautious start, he's certainly found his feet and continues to improve with each leg. As the morning sun starts to rise, so does the heat as it reflects off the dry lake bed. This is arid, thirsty country. Lowndes and Wheel look at ease and continue to extend their lead in the auto division. They've paced themselves perfectly over the first 3 days, and they're building for something special on the run home to the finish in Esperance. Looking to make up time, Jacob Smith attacks the course and sets a faster pace than Grabham. With time on his side, Grabham can afford to be patient. Thagata is going well. As is Z. Rodriguez. Grabham makes his way down a steep section towards the lake as news filters through that Jacob Smith may have taken a fall. This is a technically difficult section, and the competitors take great caution as they make their way down the jagged, washed-out track. This is rugged, unforgiving country, and any mistake here can spell disaster. Harrington pulls over as Lowndes passes by. It's just so important to pick your times, to know when to push hard and when to ease off and to conserve equipment. Neil Dunn makes it through unscathed. Dunn has come to Safari with a revamped car and he's keen to test himself and the vehicle against the best in the business. Greg Knowles' Hummer is a real crowd favourite. The big news is defending champion Jacob Smith is out of the moto race after a crash late in the leg. You can never take anything for granted in Safari, with the race continuing to throw up surprises at every corner.
Had a pretty big crash, hit a tree, and
they chopped me out into Kalgoorlie and just done some damage to my ankle and my shoulder. So race over for me. The whole JHR team put a big effort in, and all the boys worked so hard to get us to the race and to keep us going. So you know, I feel for them a lot, you know, not getting the result, but you know, it's good to come back and see all the boys, and they're all happy to see me, so that's definitely good.
It's been a long, hard day, and the sun soon starts to set over the gold mining town of Norseman. Many of the autos are still out on the course. Finally, an exhausted Craig Lowndes reaches Norseman, and it's been another impressive drive.
We got a little bit lost at the end there because the sun's starting to come down. Oh look, I'd hate to be the next car through, or even leaving now, because it's sort of, as the sun's going down, the haze, the dust, and there's no wind, it's all sort of sticking around.
It's probably the best safari day I've had in the last 3 years, so, you know, everything's gone really good, and having a bit of a late finish. I think some of the boys might struggle with some of the navigational back there.
All week we've stayed within a few minutes of each other, so it's been tight at the front, and which is good. It's what we come here for.
With the race now more than halfway through, it's Ben Grabham in the overall lead with a 10-minute gap to Rod Faggoter. That nasty crash did force Jacob Smith to retire, while his brother Todd moved into third. In the auto division, Craig Lowndes and Keys Wheel extend their lead in the Holden Colorado, with Green and Smith in second. In the quads, Paul Smith still well in front and in command of the race.
Motor racing is gaining popularity by leaps and bounds in the Middle East, and the United Arab Emirates is now organising its own national series. That includes touring cars, sports cars and both 600 and 1000cc sports bike divisions. The UAE National Race Day Series, Saturday the 18th of December from 3:15 in the afternoon. Opposite lock action from the South Island Rally Championship. The banner stages comes your way in On the Limit Rallying. That's coming up later tonight from 10:40 p.m. And as always, it's only right here on Motors TV.
Competitive kilometres of leg 5 take us east from Norseman, skirting the Nullarbor Plain before heading back to Norseman. The leg will feature a number of picturesque salt lakes, some tight twisting tracks and several wood-lined trails. Dunn takes off in his car, and our cameras show just how much trailing dust is thrown up. Following another vehicle is never easy in this sort of close racing. The dust reduces visibility, making overtaking very difficult. Western Australian rider Warren Strange is next to take a spill. Yet another rider who falls victim to the tough conditions. Things don't look good for one of the front-running autos, with Garland and Suzuki forced to stop with smoke billowing from the Isuzu D-Max undercarriage. It's a problem with the drivetrain, and Garland retreats beneath the vehicle in an attempt to salvage their campaign. Currently in third position overall, this could spell disaster. The quads show us how the elite riders work the corners as they float through the turns, maintaining line and speed. Olholm is on the charge, and he knows it's now or never if he's going to make any impression on the podium. He holds nothing back as he powers the impressive Cairns coconut-sponsored Pajero, determined to salvage something from his safari campaign. We go on board now with John Maragazidis, the 2008 winner in the quad division. He's an almond farmer from South Australia, and there is no one more passionate about this sport of off-road racing than Maragazidis. The Australasian Safari really is a battle of attrition between driver and the elements, where competitors are put to the ultimate test. Despite the long, exhausting hours, the competitors get to take in some majestic scenery. Western Australia has one of the last great areas of unspoiled wilderness on the planet. With its remote, pristine environment and unlimited race terrain, Western Australia has become a mecca for off-road enthusiasts the world over. Rod Faggoter has hit a tree during the morning ride, and while the damage isn't too bad, it's clearly affecting his performance. He continues to ride on, battling the pain, but continues to lose time to the race leader, Ben Grabham. It's a tough sport, and there are no easy measures out here. Colin Lawson throws his machine around and manages to get some air. The Can-Am with the booming engine is again in full flight. After more than 400 kilometres racing across a variety of diverse terrain, the teams return to the comforts of Norseman for a well-earned rest as dusk settles across the outback.
It was long, 6 hours 15 it took me to do 250 kilometres, so it was long and hard, and I had punctures and crashes and all sorts. So
today is a good day, long and difficult stage, but for me is good. Today is maybe like a Brazil tracks. The race is amazing, it's fantastic. It's too same like a Dakar.
Yeah, there's a few guys had some drama today, like Matt Fish and Rod Faggoter both had dramas in the first stage, and sort of gave Ben and I a bit of a comfortable gap for the next 2 days.
We're quite pleased with ourselves. Part of it is we haven't made any navigational errors. We've had minimal flat tyres, and we did a lot of preparation, even though it's a standard car. Did a lot of preparation on track 4 before to get it ready and make sure that it wasn't going to let us down.
The last thing you want to do now is blow out a tyre, do a drive shaft, or doing something silly that's going to cost you half an hour or more to repair it. So you know, yeah, there's still a long day to go tomorrow, and then hopefully if we can get the same sort of gap going into Saturday, I'll be a lot happier.
Rod Faggoter was happy just to finish after a painful injury stalled his progress.
Just in the start of the second stage, we've come around the corner and clipped a gum tree sapling. Didn't crash, didn't even hardly sort of put the bike off line, but my hand started hurting a bit. It sort of got over the handguard and smacked my knuckle as well. We've broken a few bones down in here, smashed up the joint. So sort of the doc said there's no joint left. Like specialists have told me not to ride, so I've got to sort of take into account what those guys say.
In all my years of motorsport and rallying, I've never come across anything this difficult. The terrain we go across is just incredible, but to be honest, I'm learning so much. I never realised motor vehicles, let alone bikes, could go where we are going. How they found these roads, or what they say are roads, no idea.
Another day, another epic journey. There's no respite for the competitors with another 400-kilometre leg tomorrow. Just when you think it's time for a well-earned rest, the night shift moves into full swing and the teams work hard to repair vehicles. As a result of Rod Faggoter's untimely injury, Todd Smith moves into second behind Ben Grabham, with Matthew Fish now in fourth, followed by Schwartz, Beavis and Scott. Lowndes and Wheel go from strength to strength and extend their lead over Green and Smith. Garland lost some time, but Kerry Turley and Naomi Tillett have had a good day, moving their Nissan Patrol into fourth. Leg 6 will be a 325 competitive kilometre race south from Norseman to Esperance. The stage will cover a variety of mixed terrain, including open countryside, bush tracks and a hazardous water crossing. Meanwhile, Rod Faggoter discusses his situation with the race officials. He wants to ignore doctors' orders. His courage is typical of the never-say-die safari spirit. The Eventually, he succumbs to the pressure, and his safari dream is over for another year. Suddenly, the podium is opening up for a number of riders looking to take advantage of Fagada's misfortune. Grabham is off again and is just looking to consolidate on this impressive lead, and so far has managed to stay out of trouble. It's now a matter of minimising mistakes on the run to the finish. Water has been in short supply during this event, but that is all about to change when the field faces a deep water crossing. It's just one of many challenges Safari will continue to dish out. Many struggle to get through the hazard, and they watch intently, taking the lead from fellow riders. It's no time to be timid. Dunking your bike can be a huge risk, and a wet engine is the last thing you want. Mark Davidson successfully navigates his way through the bog, while number 24, Greg Sterling, in the background, struggles to keep his bike upright. Darren Green reaches the creek and wastes no time crossing, while Sterling is still in a mud wrestle, losing valuable time. Garland has no troubles with the bog, and Lowndes, now a quick learner, follows suit. Apart from having two world-class drivers, the PWR Holden Rally team has gone to great lengths to get the car in good working order. You cannot underestimate the importance of preparation and planning when it comes to taking on a race like the Australasian Safari. Z Rodriguez, the Brazilian star, has enjoyed his time in Western Australia, and he feels Safari is the perfect lead-up event to the Dakar race. Despite putting himself out of the running early with mechanical problems, he's never given up trying, and he would have been in the running for a podium finish. Nathan Riches is having a difficult day, and amongst other things, is now delayed by a punctured rear tyre. This part of Western Australia is renowned for bushfires, and the terrain is littered by scorched forest. The teams need to be on the lookout for fallen debris and jagged stumps, which can easily puncture tyres. The race finally makes its way into the beautiful coastal retreat of Esperance, on Western Australia's southeast coast, about 725 kilometres from Perth.
Pretty solid day today. Went in with, I don't know, I think around 11-minute lead and managed to come out for 18 minutes. I didn't do anything special on the bike. I just concentrated on navigating. It sort of paid off because I think a few of the boys got lost in the first stage.
Today was a good day, and I suppose another one tomorrow, and looks a bit tricky on in the sand there. I'm not a real lover of sand, but anyway, we'll see how we go.
Bitterly disappointed Rod Fagada starts to pack up, knowing his third place in the moto division has been well and truly surrendered. The Chinese team have both of their cars still in the event as they prepare for the final challenge through the demanding Esperance sand dunes. Disaster is now the only thing that can stop the impressive Grabham from securing his third Safari crown. Todd Smith is in second with Matthew Fish third. Lowndes and Wheel continue to lead the race ahead of Green and Smith, with the fast-finishing Bruce Garland making a late move in third. The quads will be in their element tomorrow, with the sand pit very much to their liking. The seventh and final leg of Safari will be based in and around the coastal town of Esperance. Navigation and traction will be the key as the competitors race across open sand dunes and beaches over a competitive distance of 85 kilometres. This leg will complete the arduous 3,600 kilometre journey from Perth. The picturesque and popular coastal town of Esperance provides a fitting backdrop for the final leg of the tour. The final day of Safari promises to be a huge challenge and dominated by one thing and one thing only: sand. How the teams come to terms with the sand will make all the difference in the end results. A big crowd gathered on the beach to see how the teams would perform. While racing in sand may look easy on the surface, it's anything but. For many of the teams, this would be the ultimate test. The 7-day race across some of the world's most extreme terrain had certainly taken its toll. Everyone was sore and tired, and machines were at breaking point. On board with Lowndes as he fights to keep the car straight on the shifting sand. This is a world away from the track racing he's so accustomed to and relishes a brief change of scenery. The powerful Hummer is all class set against the magnificent backdrop of the Esperance coastline. Tony Flood heads for an exit from the beach. Everything seems to be under control, when all of a sudden he hits a partly hidden rock, which in turn sends the Pajero careering off course and into the bank. In a dramatic twist, it flips, lands on its roof, with the driver and navigator trapped inside. Flood tries to get the door open, and police and spectators run to assist. Some of the others try to warn approaching cars about this hidden danger. You can see here in the replay just where things go horribly wrong. The sand dunes were expected to be a great leveller, and the prophecy was certainly coming true.
Can we get her over? Can we get her over?
Over here.
Okay, bloody get in. Push it. I'm going to push it back.
The car is rolled back, and an appreciative crowd sends Flood on his way again, with smoke now billowing from the damaged Pajero. Approximately 30 kilometres out of Esperance, and the field is met with a wall of towering sand dunes. There is a real art to mastering this type of terrain, and there is nothing like hands-on experience. Low tyre pressure, smooth acceleration, and the use of low gears are essential. In the famed Dakar race, many of the competitors come unstuck in the sand. Ben Grabham is careful to protect his lead, and he continues to make all the right moves. He's determined to secure a third Safari title and knows that victory is in sight. Heads towards the westernaustralia.com checkpoint flags. Lowndes races over a crest and narrowly avoids disaster as the bank falls away. There's no such luck, though, for Des Harrington, as he hits a bank with too much speed and hits a tree before barging his way through. Warren Denham now drops off the same hill at speed, only this time he lands on the nose of the car, nearly destroying it, putting them out of the race. It's a very disappointing finish for the talented crew who've come so far, only to falter at the last hurdle. Michael Denham climbs back up to the top to warn other oncoming cars, and here Bruce Garland is the first to heed that warning. Lowndes looks well in control, no doubt helped by the experienced Keys wheel in the navigator's seat. They are unable to climb a dune and roll back further to get a bigger runner. No problem this time, and they move ever closer to a sweet victory. The quads are revelling in the conditions as Maragazitis blasts by. The cars are dwarfed by these huge coastal dunes which extend across the horizon. Bruce Garland and Harry Suzuki have finished with a late flurry, but the two cars in front have done well to avoid trouble, and they will not surrender first and second easily. With the finish line almost in sight, incredibly, it's now Harrington who is next to falter when he hits a crest with great force and buries the nose. Harrington is hurt and the car is all but destroyed. It's a complete disaster and an incredibly disappointing way for Harrington to exit the race. So after a dramatic conclusion to the race, it was Ben Grabham from Australia who took the Safari Moto crown. Grabham was never headed during any stage of the race. Despite some anxious last moments, Craig Lowndes and Keys Wheel did enough to take a well-deserved victory in the auto division. Paul Smith takes the quad category ahead of John Maragazidis and Colin Lawson. All in all, it was a brilliant race with more twists and turns than a spy thriller. After 7 dramatic, exhaustive days trekking the far reaches of Western Australia, the winning crews took time out to enjoy the spoils of victory. Once again, Western Australia has put on a great show. This year's event has travelled from Southern Cross in the wheat belt through to the historic Western Australian goldfields, across deserts, through rugged bush and coastal sand dunes before the finish in Esperance. Congratulations to the organisers and major sponsors, Events Corp and Tourism Western Australia, and the amazing team of event officials for helping to make the event such an outstanding success.
But the guys did a fantastic job every night to service it, get it square again, and away we went. So, you know, it's been a great journey, and you know, I'd love to come back.
Pretty good feeling, and you know, with Craig being a rookie for the first year, we knew we always had the ability, and to come out victorious like we have, I think it's been a credit to him and credit to the team.
We just wanted to come back and do better than last year. We finished 6th outright last year, so we just wanted to do better than that. The car looks beat up, but we put a lot of preparation into it. A lot of money, a lot of time goes into the car to make sure we don't have to work on it during the event.
Yeah, we'll give it another shot. Yep. Still a bit of fight in the old dog, I suppose.
It's been an excellent event. Bloody long way, but yeah, we've done it.
The thing that I enjoyed about Safari this year is the course. The course was just awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's my 4th attempt to get on the podium, so when I left Perth it was definitely an aim of mine to sit on the podium, and here we are in Esperance on the podium, so it's fantastic.
I've got to win this race one day, so keep coming back till I do, I guess.
Yeah, I'm wrapped. I'm just relieved, really. Stomach can open back up, all the nerves are gone, and just glad that all the hard work's paid off.
The Australasian Safari has once again shown why it's recognised as one of the world's great endurance races and the Dakar of the Asia-Pacific region.